Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this video on Star Atlas. Today we're going to be talking about ships and a few of the things that you can use to help you if you're looking to buy a ship. These are community tools that have been made by incredible people to really give you a better experience if you're looking to find that perfect ship. Maybe it's a starter ship to get you into Star Atlas, or maybe it's just an additional ship to join your fleet. But I'm going to cover these aspects now. The first thing I want to do is just talk about play.staratlas.com. If you come here and click on Marketplace on the left hand side, you'll see a range of ships from XX small up to Titan. And these range from about $4 currently up to $5 million. So there's a huge scope for potential budgets and playstyles. Now what you need to consider here is that every ship has something called VWAP, and that stands for Volume Weighted Average Price. Now this is set based on a date and time, so the volume weighted actual price, or the VWAP, at the start could be considerably higher than that of today. And that's something that we've seen across most NFT projects, most crypto projects, where the market has come down, the price of these assets have come down. And so you need to understand that when a lot of people talk about these vehicles and their recommended retail price or their initial offering, they were considerably higher than they are now. This means that you need to understand before you buy a ship, is it good value? And it's really hard to be able to determine that because it all depends on the future of this game, and you're buying into an element of speculation as to what could become. You've got the 2D version of the game that's being built out, the top-down strategic view, but you've also got the AAA game aspect that's being built out in Unreal Engine. And I can tell you now from experience, when you buy an NFT off this marketplace and you load that NFT into Unreal Engine and you stand and you look up at your ship for the first time, or down, depends how small the ship is, but when you look at that ship for the first time, there's an element of, wow, this is my NFT. And actually going around, getting inside, looking at all of the compartments and then flying in that ship, the potential of what that offers in the future is really the excitement of why so many people want to buy these ships. But I want to help you and give you a few tools. So we're going to start over here outside of the marketplace at a website called Althea. Now Althea is run by some veterans within the Star Atlas community. It is a guild. There is the opportunity to join the guild. But aside from that, if you just go to their website, althea.com, all the links will be in the description. You can click on ships and you can look at ship prices. Now there's several different things you're going to have to factor into buying a ship, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but this does give you all of the ships, what the best asking price in dollars is, what the best asking price in Atlas is, what the asking price versus the volume weighted average price is. So you can see here that the if I was to look at the this list and break it down, we can see that the biggest discount from volume weighted average price to now is an 89.45% discount, which means it's 90%. There's been a 90% loss from people that bought it initially right now. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean this is the best value. You don't want to use this as a value metric, but it does tell you what the value weighted actual price was and what the current best ask is right now. And so this is if you want to buy. If you want to sell, different prices, different bids. So you can kind of get an idea. Now, a lot of people might look at this and go, well, this was $1,000 and now it's $100. That means it's a 90% discount. Hey, that must be a good deal. Well, that depends. That depends if this ship ever has the potential to go back to that initial price offering. Because if it doesn't, then this is irrelevant. If this is where the bar is now set for this ship, then this is where this ship is going to land. So there is another tool that you can use to be able to help you. And I'm going to just cover that briefly now. And that's based on sales history. So this is called Rogue Market. It's by Skull and Bones, which is another guild focusing on piracy within the game, not within the browser. Don't worry, they're not going to steal your assets from here. But this is where you can go to the tools that they offer, or sorry, the market, and you can look at the trading UI. So if you go to market.skullandbones.xyz, market trading UI, this brings up an awesome trading menu. And you can click on this search bar in the top right here. and I can type in any ship that I'm looking at. So for example, let's use this rainbow as an example here. So if I just type in rainbow here, and here we go, we're going to look at the CHI, which is the abbreviation for that ship, in USDC. I'm going to do everything in USDC. You can compare Atlas to USDC, and in some cases there's some arbitrage, but mostly it's going to be cheaper in USDC. So we're going to do that. This is going to bring up the history. We're going to look over the last 1 year of this ship. And now we can see all of the buy orders in the marketplace, all of the live sell orders in the marketplace. And you can see what this ship was selling at a year ago. And also we can see all of the sell points. So this ship at its lowest point on July the 20th this year sold for $50. Which means if you're now looking back here at this ship and it's $100, it's double what it did sell at one point. But if we look on the average that this ship seems to be selling for recently is somewhere in the region of about $93 to $100. So $93 to $100, there is some demand for this ship at this price. So okay, it could be that that's not bad. If this was to recover back up to the 200, even the 300 point, maybe even in the future going back up to the 1,000. Now, I'm not saying that's impossible. It depends on the game loops that the game create, and it does seem that they're pushing in that direction to move back towards this price. And if the markets in crypto in general pick up, it's totally possible, especially when the AAA game, if that ever does launch, and there's a lot of risk involved. You have to be aware of that. But if all of the stars align, no pun intended, it is a space game after all, but if all of the stars align, then it is very possible that you could make a good purchase. And I've seen this with even things like the Thimble air bike. I was able to personally use this tool to be able to pick up Thimble air bikes between $1.50 and $2, and they're now worth $5 because there's a demand for them. And at the moment, there's a very, very small core game loop in place, which means that there's not that much demand. There's not any professions, there's no progression skill trees or anything like that. There's a very basic crafting and gathering core game loop, and we're seeing that Thimble air bikes are being used at the moment because they are the cheapest way to get crew to craft, and so there's a demand for that particular asset. As more game loops are introduced, there will be more demand for more game assets, so you need to consider, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a fighter? Do you want to be a salvager? Do you want to be a miner? Do you want to be a pirate? Do you want to be a recovery ship? Like, there's so many different game loops that you're going to be able to take part in. You really need to kind of think about your fleet and your budget. What are you willing to pay or to invest? And I don't like the word invest, because investing makes it seem like you're looking to make profit. And it's not always the case with this game. Maybe at the start, it's a good idea to just put money in to say, I'm going to support the development of this game, rather than I'm going to put some money in to see what I can take out later. If you put in $1,000 into ships, that doesn't guarantee you're going to make $2,000 in the future. So just bear that in mind. And a lot of people, as this shows, that put money in, if you paid $1,000 for this ship when it launched, you're already at a 90% deficit. And so you need to be aware that if your idea of fun is making profit in the real world, then you might struggle to find that fun ever, or at least initially in these early stages. So just please bear that in mind, that only come into this and invest what you're willing to lose. You have to consider it as money spent and money gone. And maybe it's a tax write-off, maybe it's just for some fun, maybe you've won the lottery, or maybe you're just reckless. Who knows? Maybe you're speculating for the future, and who knows? But I would just take this with a consideration that to invest in game assets always depends on the parent company. Web3 games are struggling right now, and it's just a reality. But I think Star Atlas has potential, great potential to do good things. I'm not endorsing that you go and spend $1 million on an asset. That would be crazy. But at the same time, you do you. Everyone's different, right? The best way I've found to enjoy this game, though, is to not compare yourself to other people. Play for yourself. If you're buying a ship with the sole purpose of how much money you can make from that ship, you're not going to enjoy that right now. And in fact, the only people that really enjoy that are the bots. What you should be doing, and what I found is the best way to enjoy the current version of the game, is to buy a ship that allows you to focus on your crafting cycles and your self-sustainability so that you can craft some of these ships and increase your fleet over time, which is totally possible, by the way, to do that. You can become self-sustaining and do that, but it's going to take time. And so when you put a focus on that time that you spend in that game and you put a monetary asset on that time, it will feel like you've wasted your time. It will work out that you're probably earning something like 10 cents an hour, which would feel like it's not fun. But then the argument here is, how much time have you invested in other games? How much time have you put in other games where you've got nothing in return? So try not to think about it in that sense. If you're going to buy a ship, just my humble advice is to buy a ship because you want to play the game and enjoy the game both now and in the future. All right, with that being said, let's jump back into this and look at other stats that can help you. So the market is a great way to be able to see previous demand as well as average price for things that have been selling, and that's a great little tool to use. Also, what I really like, and this is from Althea as well, is a tool called Nancy. Now, this was generated by a couple of individuals. I believe Victor is one of the gentlemen, and I believe Kenny is another one, and together they put this together. This is an incredible tool using Airtable, where you can come in here, search for any of the ships. So if I want to look at the class and say, I want to look at a capital ship, for example, I can look at all the capital ships, look at the Pierce C9, for example, and I can get all of the specs, all of the information about it. Is it flyable in the showroom? What it is, I can see all of the details about it. I can come down here, I can see the crew size, I can see the ammo capacity, fuel capacity, cargo capacity, which is important right now for the current version, as well as some pictures and some other interesting stats. And this is incredible. A really, really amazing amount of detail has been presented in a really nice way. So this is a way for you to be able to look at this information. If you wanted to look at the current Sage Labs, which is the gameplay that's live at the moment, there's another tool that you can use here. Now, I don't know who created this, but props to whoever this was. I want to just shout out and say that this has been really, really helpful in terms of looking at, for example, the Thimble air bike. You can see the cargo capacity very quickly in column F. And this allows you to look down here and say, well, cargo capacity is definitely something that is important in Sage Labs right now. And so you can start to see, well, okay, so the Rainbow Arc at the moment has an incredible amount of cargo capacity compared to something like a Thimble air bike. But then obviously that has a cost attached to it as well. But mining rates as well, looking at the mining rates as well as the cargo capacity, helps you know whether it is beneficial for you to be focusing on Sage right now. But think about the fact that other game loops will come in the future. You're going to have so many other things to do. So don't use this as a defining point, but it's definitely nice to be able to see. And then finally, the last tool that I like to use is redspatula.io. This is just a really nice way for you to be able to look at any particular group, and you can see, so if I go back to the capital ships, for example, now I can see the bids, but also the asks. So if I look at ask and dollar and click on this, it will put into value capital ships from cheapest to most expensive, what people are willing to sell right now these ships for. So you can see here that this ship was originally valued at $33,000, and it is currently, if you're looking at the ask price, 84% lower than that price. Somebody is selling it right now, and you can go and buy this right now for $5,000. Now, I would then take this information, I would look at this, I would go across to the rogue market, I would then put this ship into here, I would look at this, and I would see what sort of demand and price this is selling at. Well, okay, wow. It looks like a couple actually sold on May 25th for, that can't be right, or something. Maybe it was, who knows. But a couple sold for $3,000 here. Okay. One actually sold here as well for $3,000. But on average, they seem to be selling for about $4,500. $4,500 seems to be an average price. Some of them selling a little bit cheaper at $4,000. And that was even on August 31st. One did sell for $4,000. But $4,500 seems to be the average at the moment, with the last one selling on September the 21st. So if you were to come back and look at this and say, well, this one's $5,000, then you're probably paying an extra $600 over what is the average right now of what this ship is worth. So you might want to put in an offer a little bit lower than this to be able to pick up this ship. But if you were going to do that, you'd obviously want to have a look here at the VSS Ballard, have a look at what it can do, and be able to say, well, yeah, okay, so this is a ship that actually I wouldn't mind having, or maybe it's not. And that depends, because if you look at the capacity of this ship, it's got good capacity. If you look at all of the other stats of this ship, you can get an idea of what it's like. And you can also go into Nancy. You can do the same thing here by clicking on this ship, getting all of these details, and just seeing all of this information. So hopefully all of these, and I'll put all of these links in the description, help you to make a bit more of an informed decision. But also please bear in mind that there are bots in the marketplace. I've done a video on that. You can see it in the playlist. So just understand how the marketplace works before you place that order, so you don't end up spending money that you otherwise don't need to. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in Star Atlas.